General, there's still one unanswered question since the incident between Pakistan and India, and that is whether or not Pakistan downed an Indian jet, or in fact more than that. Can you confirm?
I think what is important is that not the jet being down, but why they were being down.
But a jet,
Why?
at least one jet
why?
was downed?
Yeah. Why they were. So the good part is that we are able to understand the tactical mistake which we made, remedy it, rectify it. What is important is why they were down. That is more important for us. And what did we do after that? That's more important.
Can India block Pakistan's water physically?
Victor Gao actually raised a good point. He said, if India is going to be able to do this, then a third country can potentially also shut off water upstream from India. He's been settled about it, but he's really saying if India can cut off water to Pakistan, then China can cut off water to India as well. Then why are you complaining? If Chinese gave crappy weapons to Pakistan, then China is helping you. And why can't you be happy with that? Then why are you still blaming China? Why are you complaining? If it's true, if that these Chinese weapons are completely useless, it demonstrates the superiority of the Indian weapon system, then why are you complaining China is helping Pakistan? You should be glad China is helping Pakistan. If China is giving Pakistan crappy products, then China is helping you. But yet you're going to the public and complaining China is helping Pakistan. It's contradictory. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense.
A national level leader saying things about the people of another country. Have you heard something like this before? Like,
सुख चैन की जिंदगी जियो, रोटी खाओ, वरना मेरी गोली तो है ही.
It's kind of shocking for a leader for a large country like India to, basically shitposting in public.
There's this thing going on in India as well, that they've arrested their travel vlogger named Jyoti Malhotra, who actually came to Pakistan for a while and then she went back. She has been arrested on the charges of being an agent of ISI. How would this have an impact on the travel vloggers? Even when the pigeons cross the border from Pakistan to India, the Indians, they capture the pigeon and they detain them for a while.
What kind of military intelligence or state secret would a travel blogger have? This is just quite ridiculous. I also saw the news that the Indian held a pigeon claiming it to be a Chinese spy. I also saw that news. So it's not limited to Pakistan. India could show the world that it did not lose any Rafale by inviting French inspector, by inviting the French manufacturer of Rafale, Dassault, to come to India to do an inspection of all 36 Rafales in India, and show them here we have all 36 Rafale in place. That would dispel the rumor of Rafale being shut down real quick. That will shut up everybody. They got my plane. They hit my plane. Why is their plane so much better? and you have to see it to appreciate the Deepal brand of Chinese EV. They actually hired those guys to do a commercial for their cars, except they pose in front of a J-10C plane painted with Pakistani Air Force color, and then they perform that song then in front of the Deepal cars. So they're totally living off their fame right now.
Okay, first of all, Carl, thank you very much for joining us once again. Our last show is still doing rounds on the internet. Apparently, Pakistanis love you for the things you've said, and a lot of comments, nice. Coming. So let me just get down really quickly into the agenda of the show. First of all, Narendra Modi is it's been 2 to 3 days, 4 days. He's been saying awful lot of things about Pakistan and Pakistani people. A national level leader saying things about the people of another country. Have you heard something like this before? Like,
सुख चैन की जिंदगी जियो, रोटी खाओ, वरना मेरी गोली तो है ही.
I think I saw the clips making rounds on the internet on Twitter. I mean, this is not something a leader of a great nation should be should be talking about lightly. I mean, this is you are not. I mean, right now it seems like the Donald Trump have started this trend of just like national leader talking shit. But I'm sure Modi was like that before. But it's kind of shocking for a leader for a large country like India to, basically shit posting in public. It's not very becoming.
okay, and there's this thing going on in India as well, that they've arrested their travel vlogger named Jyoti Malhotra, who actually came to Pakistan for a while, and then she went back. She has been arrested on the charges of being an agent of ISI. How would this have an impact on the travel vloggers?
I mean, this is part of the copian after the aerial combat, right? I mean, India is still in its Hopian and copian phase, and now it's trying to blame everything and everyone, including travel bloggers. I mean, it's quite ridiculous. It's they're really trying to find a scapegoat for their own failures, which, we talked about in the last video, I think ultimately the responsibility lies with the Indian politicians who decide to do a political stunt by carrying out a strike inside Pakistani territory and not expecting a retaliation. In fact, the Indian foreign minister said the same thing. He did not expect retaliation from Pakistan, which is completely ridiculous. I mean, how could you expect to launch attack with impunity against a neighboring country? Again, this is part of. I mean, I have seen all sort of crazy copiums coming out of India in the last week or so. So I'm not surprised, but it's I feel sorry for the travel blogger for what she has to go through, and whoever catch the ire of these Indian nationalists online.
So what happened was that that vlogger Jyoti Malhotra, she came to Pakistan twice, and she also has a video with the Chief Minister of Punjab while she was on her trip to Kartarpur, and it's just amazing how Indians could go that far with a travel vlogger. And although Pakistan and India were exchanging travel vloggers, but Carl, we do have a history that even when the pigeons crossed the border from Pakistan to India, the Indians they captured the pigeon and they detained them for a while. So people doing that, not catching the vloggers, I was like, they were late. I thought that this would started way earlier.
I mean, what kind of what kind of military intelligence or state secret would a travel blogger have? I mean, this is just quite ridiculous. I also saw the news that the Indian held a pigeon claiming to be a Chinese spy. I also saw that news. So it's not limited to Pakistan.
Okay. And did you see that clip of the air chief of France acknowledging that the Rafales went down? Did you happen to see that?
Yes. Right now, the whole world is basically confirming that indeed the Indian Rafale has been lost in the first day of combat. But for some reason, there's still a collective denial in India. I think the Indian media and the Indian public who have been misled by their media are still in the first phase of the 5-step grieving process. You know the 5 steps, right? The first step is denial. So right now they're still in the denial phase of the grieving process. Eventually, I think, given enough time, they will move to anger and eventually acceptance. But right now we're still in the denial phase.
Even by the statements given by Modi, you could tell that he's still looking like his wounds. He's not okay. He's not okay with the outcome of Operation Sindoor. He's been recorded saying that Operation Sindoor is still not over. He's been recorded having celebrations as well. So they're kind of confused.
I think the top leadership of India, I think they know they have been humiliated, but they have to maintain a brave public face. And another thing about I saw all kind of copiums recently coming out of India, particularly from Indian media. You have retired generals coming to Indian television and saying, "Oh, this really showed that." This is a great victory for India. You really show the effectiveness of the Indian weapon system. The Chinese, they have been helping Pakistan with satellite intelligence. But you know what? All the Chinese weapon they give to Pakistan is all crap. So I'm listening to this and thinking, then why are you complaining? If Chinese gave crappy weapons to Pakistan, then China is helping you. And why can't you be happy with that? Then why are you still blaming China? Why are you complaining? If it's true, if that these Chinese weapons are completely useless, it demonstrates the superiority of the Indian weapon system, then why are you complaining China is helping Pakistan? You should be glad China is helping Pakistan if China is giving Pakistan crappy products. Then China is helping you. But yet you're going to the public and complaining China is helping Pakistan. It's contradictory. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense.
What about the new videos? Did you see the new videos appearing online of Rafales in India?
I see. I mean, we already seen the wreckage. I mean, like it's pretty clear. We have the numbers on the tail fins. We saw the engine. We saw enough photographic evidence to show that at least one Rafale was lost on the Indian side. I mean, it's been confirmed by the French intelligence, American intelligence. I mean, only people who is still in denial is the Indian media. I mean, like I don't think I don't know what more evidence you need at this point. India could show the world that it did not lose any Rafale by inviting the French manufacturer of Rafale, Dassault, to come to India to do an inspection of all 36 Rafales in India. And show them here we have all 36 Rafale in place. That would dispel the rumor of Rafale being shut down real quick. That would shut up everybody. That would provide definite proof that no Rafale has been lost. Just invite the French over to make sure all their planes are in place. Simple. Why couldn't they do that?
And did you see the show? Victor Gao. He was on the show on Republic. Did you see the show?
It's I was kind of speechless. I mean, Mr. Gao is trying to drop some knowledge on the Indian news anchor and the Indian retired general. But, his words are just bouncing off of their delusion of grandeur because to counter Mr. Gao's point, all they could say is India weapon was great, like Pakistan has no answer. And then they went to all the Chinese weapons are totally ineffective, and then they pleaded for China not to help Pakistan. Again, it doesn't make sense. If China is providing Pakistan with shoddy products, with shoddy weapons, that's totally useless, then you should be thanking China. You should be thanking China. You should want China to continue to provide the same quality crappy weapons to Pakistan, because that would help India. Why are you complaining? Again, the whole show they're complaining about relationship of China and Pakistan. What's there to complain about? If Chinese weapon is crap, as you say, China is helping you. China is helping you by giving Pakistan all these crappy product. Why are you then complaining? It's kind of, I don't know, like it's quite amazing to watch this kind of arrogance and this they have this they built this entire wall of like to their delusion is so strong, you block out all information. They exist in their own kind of echo chamber, info bubble. It's quite amazing to watch.
So let's talk about the main topic of this conversation, the Indus Water Treaty, the water wars between India, Pakistan, and eventually China. How do you see this? First of all, can India block Pakistan's water physically?
Well, right now, again, the Indian politicians are making a lot of noise about they're going to abrogate the Indus Water Treaty, which obligates India to provide certain percentage of water flow of the Indus River to allow them to pass through to Pakistan. Again, first of all, it will be a violation of international treaty they signed with Pakistan, with World Bank as witness, and let's just say they ignore international treaties, like, because India thinks they can behave like United States or Israel. How are they actually going to cut off the water, right? On the Indus River itself, India actually has no dams, so there's nothing they can do over there. But they do build a series of dams on Chenab River, which is a tributary of Indus River, and but the thing is, those water they have a series of reservoirs, but they have to do control release of water. Otherwise, their dam will be getting overwhelmed, because they don't have other water diversion project that could potentially divert those extra surplus water elsewhere. So they have to let that water pass through. I mean, like right now, they will have to invest tens of billions of dollars into building special infrastructure to divert those water elsewhere, or to build a larger reservoir able to hold those water. Because there's a lot of water that's coming through. And those dams, if they don't do a controlled release of water, the dam themselves will be structurally impaired. And so yeah, physically, they actually don't have the means right now to withhold water from Pakistan. I mean, what they could do, they really want to be nasty about it. They can time their release of water, but do it irregularly to cause some problem downstream. But overall, they can, because they can't divert the water, because they don't have infrastructure in place, they can't really completely stop the flow of water. There's a lot of water, and a lot of the, if people look at the geography of the place, this water goes through very deep mountain valleys. So there's no place for them to build a large water reservoir to store the extra water if they were to stop the water flow. So actually, in the short term, there's nothing, there's not much Pakistan need to worry about. In the long term, we'll have to see, is India going to be so spiteful that they're going to spend tens of billions of dollars to devote them to the water diversion projects just to divert those water away from Pakistan? We'll have to wait and see.
And what about the water sharing percentage of China and India? There's China and India. China comes downflow. India comes downflow when the water comes from China. What's the situation like there?
You're correct. I mean, Indus River actually originates in Tibet. much of this water is fed from glacial runoff from the Tibetan highlands. And right now, China is not building a dam in the upstream yet. But Victor Gao actually raised a good point. He said, if India is going to be able to do this, then a third country can potentially also shut off water upstream from India. He's been subtle about it, but he's really saying if India can cut off water to Pakistan, then China can cut off water to India as well. But that's really like take it to extreme. We're not at that point yet, but this is something that Indian politicians, policy planners do have to keep in mind. What's good for the goose will be good for the gander. And one of their major river, Brahmaputra, also originates in Tibet, and China currently do have a plan to build a dam on the upper stream of Brahmaputra. So if India is going to start the precedence of withholding the water, China actually, there are many precedents of where China do invest billions of dollars to divert water. So potentially China could do what India hasn't been able to do, which is to stop the water flow and to divert the water elsewhere. That's quite feasible because we've seen a lot of mega project that's been carrying out in China right now, and diverting the water of Brahmaputra is quite possible. Even though that's but having said that, Brahmaputra, about 30% of the water come from the glacial runoff from Tibet. About 70% is actually from the tropical rainfalls that falls on the southern slope of the Himalayas in the territory that India controls. So even if China cut the water completely, India will still have about 70% of the water from the Brahmaputra. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. And currently China and India they have not signed any bilateral treaty in terms of a water sharing agreement. So that's something to think about.
Pakistani forces are taking this threat very seriously. They're actually responding to all the statements when the Indian officials say something about the Indus Water Treaty. So they say that this is equivalent to waging a war on us, and we are pretty serious on this. So, from what you're saying is,
well, it's waging war on civilian population, because the average farmers of Pakistan will be depending on the water flow from the Indus River. But at this point, I don't think in short term, India simply does not have the means to stop the water flow, because the water have to go somewhere. If they close the dam, the water have to go somewhere, and there's no existing reservoir in place to hold the extra water right now. So that will have to be a long-term project. Now it's whether India is going to be spiteful enough to invest billions of dollars and maybe spend decades just to be able to divert that water. We'll have to see.
A lot of we had a lot of comments. They were asking about the Chinese air defense technology that China gave us, and they're asking that how did Pakistani bases got bombed?
Yeah, that's a good question, because the HQ system that China has sold to Pakistan, they're designed to intercept targets at high altitude, or so we're talking about planes, enemy fighter planes, or long-range missiles coming. So what India did is they sent their fighter planes right up to the Pakistani border, and they fired their air-to-ground missiles. Now, because Pakistan physically is very close to India, like all the Pakistani airports, they're not that far from the border. So those air to to ground missiles fire within the Indian airspace could easily reach the Pakistani airports. And because of the short distance, we're talking about just a couple hundred kilometers in many cases. Because of the short distance, the Pakistan radar literally have only like fraction of a minute, if not seconds, to respond. So this is actually very difficult to do. Like for long range missiles, radars can pick them out and then have the air defense system take care of it. For airplanes flying at high altitude, they can also be picked out by Pakistani radar, as we saw in the first day of aerial combat. Right, Pakistan was aware of every move of the Indian Air Force, but it's a lot harder to defend against air-to-ground missiles fired at very close to the border at short range, because because those missiles will be able to strike their target within those, especially the missiles flying at 3 times the speed of sound. They will be able to strike their target within 2 minutes. So the Pakistan air defense system only have less than 2 minutes to respond, and in that case, it's very hard to do. And I said this in our last interview also. Any air defense system in the world can be overwhelmed. It doesn't matter, Iron Dome, the U.S. STAT system. Any air defense system can be overwhelmed if you overwhelm it with enough missiles, because the air defense system you're using missile to shoot down missiles. But if you send a whole tons of missiles, you can overwhelm the system. And, we saw this even with in Gaza when Israel's Iron Dome system got overwhelmed by Iranian missile attack, and even Yemeni missiles. If you have enough missiles, you can overcome any air defense system. But a short-range missile attack is particularly harder to defend against, just because you only have a fraction of a minute to react. And one of the things, unfortunately for Pakistan does not have too much strategic depth, because the width of the Pakistan territory is quite narrow. So, and a lot of the Pakistani Air Force airport, they're pretty close to the Indian border, within a couple hundred kilometers. So that's the issue.
Okay, yeah. So we also heard of the delivery of new fighting jets.
Can I just make one more point? But according to the satellite intelligence, this was reported either in New York Times or Washington Post. I don't remember which. But according to the satellite intelligence, the evaluation on the damage caused by the missile attack is quite insignificant. So we're talking about there's some damage to the airport runways, which can be repaired within hours. Those missile attacks, they are not they're not designed to be like bunker busters, to penetrate hardened bunkers where the more expensive jets were stored. They are able to damage the runway, but the runway can be repaired. That's not major structural damage. In fact, Pakistan were able to repair their runways within hours. So it didn't leave any lasting significant damage.
Okay, you must be aware of all those open source intelligence networks and profiles. They've been showing some pictures of Pakistani bases and Indian bases, and saying that one of them claimed that 20% of Pakistan's air force has been damaged, and that was that was a tall claim. Then after that, a few people came out and told that that was wrong. So why couldn't we have the pictures of of planes being downed in India?
That's a good question. And then you also have to ask who owns those satellites. Where are they getting those satellite images, right? I mean, who owns those satellites? And this is why, in China's case, China realized they couldn't rely on, U.S. GPS system, so it built its own constellation of satellites to do they created an alternative to GPS called Beidou system. That's what's used inside China. So you don't have to rely on Washington satellite to tell you what is going on, in certain territories. For example, I remember a Taiwan Taiwan journalist. He said basically there will be a Chinese satellite flying over every Taiwan military installation every 18 minutes. So these Chinese satellites will know exactly what's going on in Taiwan at any time within those 18 minutes time span. So when people provide satellite intelligence, you got to ask from whose satellite. Those are legitimate questions to ask.
Oh, amazing. Okay, Carl, towards the end of the show, we want you to. There's this song going viral here in Pakistan and in India. That's the Diler Mehndi song. And everyone in Pakistan, because we understand Punjabi and Hindi and Urdu, so we really, really, we are enjoying that song and the rhythm of the song. Could you, I'm going to give it over to you and you can, explain, generally, what are they saying?
Well, the people have translated with English subtitles, so people can watch it with English. So basically, the little background is this is a parody based on a very popular Indian song, Tunak Tunak Tung, right?
Yeah.
Which came out back in 1998, which went viral worldwide. And it also went viral in China. And in China, what people did is they replaced the lyrics. They wrote they used a song of it's a Bhangra song in
Bhangra
it's a
song,
Punjabi
yeah.
song,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And they use the sound of but they phonetically translate it into Chinese words, which sounds kind of nonsensical, then it became it became a huge hit, because the word sounds like they were saying, so cold, I'm playing dirt in northeast China. I have a home in Dalian, but hey, it's totally nonsensical lyrics, but it's funny. So and people all knew about the song. And so now this is a particular group of Chinese influencers. Their main gig on their Douyin account, which is like the Chinese TikTok, their main gig is Douyin account is to do parody of these Indian Bollywood movies. And so in this case, immediately after the result of the aerial combat was known between Pakistan and India, they did a parody of Tonak Tonak song, except they changed the lyrics, make it sounds like they got my plane, they hit my plane. Why is their plane so much better? and you have to see it to appreciate the humor. I'm not doing it justice by describing.
But Pakistan is here.
Words.
Almost everyone have heard the song.
And in fact, the after the song went viral, one of the Chinese EV makers, the Deepal brand of Chinese EV, they actually hired those guys to do a commercial for their cars, except they pose in front of a J-10C plane painted with Pakistani Air Force color, and then they perform that song then in front of the Deepal cars. So they're totally living off their fame right now. They also, became very famous because of that song in China.